Hi, I'm State Representative Mark Gillen, and welcome to Legislative Report. I have the great privilege of serving this community in the legislature, Southern Berks and Northern Lancaster County. And today we're at the Pennsylvania Farm Show. It's a tremendous agricultural exposition under 24 acres. There's nothing like it in the United States of America. And I trust as you journey with me, visiting with the Agriculture Secretary and through the show, and then culminating an interview with our own local radio station, WEEU, you'll enjoy it as much as I've already enjoyed the Pennsylvania Farm Show. Joining me today at the Pennsylvania Farm Show is Agriculture Secretary Russ Redding. Thank you for spending time with me.
The pleasure's mine. Happy New Year to you.
Russ.
Thank you.
Just before we went on camera, we were talking about 1686, William Penn, and a farm show that was taking place not of this dimension nor even at this location. Share a little bit about that history if you could.
It's an interesting history. So William Penn had this sort of belief that to improve agriculture in that year, and I would say the same many years later, the competitive interests, right? So folks would bring their animals in to be judged and bring their corn in and home goods and such. But he had this idea to do that through the Philadelphia Society for Promoting Agriculture, which he was one of the organizers of. And that was sort of the very, very first farm show for Pennsylvania.
Have you ever been to Pennsbury Manor? I don't know if you've had a chance.
I have not.
Oh, okay. Well, it's on the bend in the river there at the falls, upriver from Philadelphia, and it was a plantation. And as I walked around there as a young person many years ago, I grew up not far from there, I thought of the degree of independence that would be born of necessity, in the 1680s. And many of the commodities that we'd see out here during the course of the day were grown there. They had their own ice house. They were cutting ice, on the river. Walmart hadn't been invented yet. And so a lot of Pennsylvania's history in terms of, as well as fast forwarding to the present, logging. It was born of necessity, for building. I find it interesting, and we live on a farm ourselves, gentleman's farm. That means we build character in our children and lose money. But one of our neighbors is doing some logging, and Pennsylvania hardwoods is substantive, is it not, in terms of export? It's a cash business.
Absolutely. It is our largest export from Pennsylvania. So it's $1 billion worth of economic activity from Pennsylvania.
Something I'd like to see, and maybe not your bailiwick or perhaps even mine, though legislatively we can offer incentives, is a lot of that hardwood is going to a foreign market, China more recently, and then their factories over there are sending back the furniture. Right. What think ye of our factories here taking that Pennsylvania hardwood, being an economic engine and a driver?
That's what we need, and that's what it was for many years. And then like the last sort of 20, 25 years, it's shifted to exporting logs versus the veneer or finished furniture, right? What's interesting though, when you look at the numbers of the last 2 years, the uptick in all categories of lumber, logs, and furniture for Pennsylvania. But there's more to do, right? To add that value, let's do it right here. We know that those prime species are in demand around the world from Pennsylvania. Let's try to add the value here.
Yeah, I've been looking around my woods to see if I have any of those prime species.
Okay,
I do have a substantial amount of black walnut, not all of it is, commercially desirable. But when you have 5 daughters and the first one's in college and the second one's soon to follow, you have to start looking. But in terms of economic engines, it's very powerful what the Pennsylvania farm is producing. But let's look at this footprint here. I've heard varying numbers on the economic activity and the stimulus that occurs within the footprint of this complex, $100 to several $100 million. It's pretty important to restaurants and hotelers in this area.
I think it's an understated value. I mean, we've tried hard. We've worked through the Hershey Harrisburg Visitors Bureau to try to quantify the numbers. On the low side, you're $100 million for the week. The upper side, for the complex, the week, and the sort of the residuals, you're 300 million. Pick the number, right? But it's a significant impact to Pennsylvania. And all of that's part of the Department of Agriculture. I'm very proud of that.
Right. We've grown through the years. Do you see any growth in the near term in terms of square footage, building complex? In other words, I come here at prime time, and I can remember when we had a little one in the buggy. It was a lot of negotiating and a lot of walking around. Very busy. At what point do we really have to think about infrastructure and making capital improvement or changes?
Yeah, it's a great question. We struggle with that. I mean, we've made, the last couple of years about $120 million. When we expanded the complex in 2003, 2004, we've made another $20 million investment. I think there are two things that need to happen. One, just you call it navigation, right? And we need to figure out how do we connect folks from the expo hall to this main hall, right? And there was an original plan was to run sort of a walkway over some of these very complicated intersections, if you will. That's number one. But two is, I think, making good use of the space that we have. Take a look at, we've got 8 days to promote agriculture, right? Let's make sure that agriculture is on full display the whole time that we're here, and use that time and space. Yeah.
Or one of the down days, you could promise free milkshakes to bring people.
Well, we haven't had a problem of a down day. That's part of our trick here. Every day has been an up day. It's been amazing. This is the earliest in the year that the farm show can fall, and we've seen the effect of a first weekend in a new year this past weekend. Just unbelievable crowds. So it's nice to have people come in and take a look, taste, see what we're doing in ag. That's the whole spirit of it.
I said we were gentlemen farmers out there. My daughter is showing her sheep later in the week. But I can remember last year visiting one of my constituents. I represent Southern Berks, substantially agriculture, and Northern Lancaster County, very agricultural. Yeah. And so I was with one of my constituents, and she was showing some chickens, Smiley and Tortilla. And I said, well, what's going to happen to these? And that's the problem with gentlemen farmers. Our animals have names. We cry, when they die. Okay. Right. But anyway, I said, what's going to happen to Smiley and Tortilla? And he said, oh, well, they're coming out of the leg-egg stage. I said, what is it, curtain call? And she pretty much said, yeah. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to make you an offer on Smiley and Tortilla, like the end of the show, because it's the end of the line for them. So we still have Smiley and Tortilla out on our farm a year later, eating lots of food, but producing nothing for us. We had the horse, the chickens, the ducks, proverbial cats and dogs. But I enjoy, and this is just me, and I don't know how others feel about this. When I come out the door in the morning, all right, and I'm greeted. Because most of the animals can see where I'm standing at that point. Like, are we going to get our hay, cat food, dog food, chickens, etc. I think it adds to quality of life. We've got about 60,000 farms in Pennsylvania. All right. What's your perspective on just quality of life, having a farm down the street? Yeah, local produce. I'm all in on freshness. But just the appearance of Pennsylvania. When I drove in today, I was absolutely thrilled with what I saw driving from that Lancaster interchange here. What does it add to us as a community, as a state? Just the ambiance of that countryside.
You've described it well. I mean, I think as much as we talk about it being a business and it's an enterprise, and there are people who are in the business who need to, turn that kind of money and to stay where they are, because it's not going to stay there because you and I like it, right? Right. But it's also an industry that can accommodate our own sort of passions for, companion animals and production animals and open space, and you feel like you can contribute in so many ways. The quality of life is greatly improved having open space and farms and people willing to do that. It's a really important part of our culture here in the state as well. There aren't any other professions where, I can't be a doctor part-time like this, right? I mean, I can be a farmer and be the doctor. You can be the legislator and be a farmer, right? I can be the secretary and be a farmer. It's such an accommodating industry too, where you can do multiple things and you have a passion for it. There's therapy in the animals and the open space. I go out and farm every day and look across the landscape and very proud of what we have, but also that you're a steward of that.
You're on the road a lot.
Yeah.
You're in the office a lot.
Yeah.
Do you miss some of that extra time out in the field of the barn? Anymore, just getting home and just being at the farm is sort of my safe harbor, right? It's where it's sort of where I can be with the livestock and the open space and do my tinkering as we need to do, and mend the fences and do some woodlot work. But that's all sort of therapy.
but I'm also, contributing both to my family's quality of life and the community, and that's a good feeling. Many people like that in Pennsylvania.
We're wrapping up here. I remember going out a few days ago, and I had one of the sheep, and Cheviots, they're very skittish. A lot of the people that are showing don't care for Cheviots, but anyway, one of the Cheviots came over to me. Her name was Faith. It's my older daughter's animal, which is in college. And she likes, her neck rub and her back rub. We think of the hazards on the farm, rams, and I've been rammed, and horses and things that they do. But that animal coming over, and one of my daughters reminded me and said, you know why Faith is so friendly? And she jumped right in and said, we helped birth her, and the mother had problems, and we had to bottle feed her. And so there's that proximity, that closeness to nature and the farm, not only the therapeutic aspect that you mentioned, but I think we as a people, we're very fond of our animals. We care very deeply, particularly domestic animals, cats and dogs, but there is a give back that comes to farm life. And I get out there and mow once in a while, and I know what I'm trying to accomplish, and when I'm done, I've actually accomplished it. Not quite like legislation or administration, but anyway, it was a delight to spend time with you, and I appreciate what you're doing.
Thanks for all you do.
For the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Thanks for all you do for agriculture. Pleasure to work with you. Thank you.
And I think I'm going to take Russ Redding for a walk, and let's get ourselves a milkshake. And what's your other favorite item here at the farm show?
I'm going to try the new grilled cheese stick as well. So, all right?
All right. Hey, God bless you. Thanks for spending time with me, my friend.
Pleasure. Thank you.
We're just strategizing here for a moment on how we're going to do this in such a way that we don't embarrass ourselves. Winning is secondary, right?
Right, that's right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just here to win. I want to drink the milk that comes out of this cow, fresh, unpasteurized, raw milk. That is my goal. I was looking for the pomade. Realize how much hard work's involved, but how much experience matters. Our team finished in second place, and we might well have finished in first place were it not for the Ag Secretary, who has a background in dairy. My daughters are kind of keeping an eye on things and said, hey, you all were ahead until Russ Redding came along, and he's pulling two teats at the same time. You know what? That's real work. I know a lot of people do this stuff mechanically, but there's still a lot of folks out in barns. They're pulling on those teats at 4:30 in the morning. We better appreciate the milk that we have in Pennsylvania.
Did you know that Violet Oakley was the first female artist to receive a large commission for artwork done in a United States Capitol building? In 1902, Joseph Houston, designer and architect for the 3rd Harrisburg Capitol building, commissioned Violet Oakley to paint murals for the governor's reception room. He believed that Oakley's contribution would add interest to the building and act as an encouragement of women of the state. Prior to beginning her work for the Capitol, Oakley set out to England to conduct research for her murals. Upon return, she decided to center her artwork on William Penn and the founding of Pennsylvania. Oakley made sure that Penn's ideals of justice and peace could be seen throughout her work. In 1906, she completed 13 murals titled The Founding of the State of Liberty Spiritual and was placed in sequential order around the governor's reception room. These murals were some of the first to be installed in the Capitol. When Edwin Austin Abbey, another artist for the Capitol, died in 1911, Oakley was offered another opportunity to create murals for the unfinished Senate and Supreme Court chambers. Her work on the Senate murals, including International Understanding, was completed by 1919. Oakley then completed the Supreme Court murals, including the Divine Law, by 1927. Oakley is said to be the principal artist for the Capitol, with a total of 43 murals on display. She remains one of the greatest muralists in the United States. Now you know.
Welcome to the official unveiling of the 2020 Butter Sculpture.
Our theme for the 2020 Farm Show is Imagine the Opportunities. It is a theme that captures Farm Show well, but it also transcends this event to agriculture as well as the Commonwealth at large. This sculpture is meant to delight all who see it, from the east to the west of Pennsylvania. It shows that anyone can be a fan of dairy.
3, 2, 1. This year's sculpture, East Meets West at the Pennsylvania Farm Show, features mascots from the East and West coming together to celebrate, because with Pennsylvania dairy, every day is game day.
Here we go, Steelers, here we go. The orange and the black, the orange and the black.
My hope, now that butter gritty is a reality, is that people that live in Philadelphia or in Pittsburgh or other urban areas would say, I hear they have a butter gritty or a Steely McBean butter, to come check it out, and they would get to see where a lot of their food comes from.
I think the intention is definitely have a lot of fun with this sculpture and broaden the audience for the Pennsylvania Farm Show. So these guys really have a lot of fans, Gritty, McBeam, and Swoop, so hopefully that'll do that.
Please remember, we all win when dairy wins in Pennsylvania.
It may seem like an odd place to find WEU radio, but not at all, because Berks County and the surrounding area is about agriculture. So we're at the Pennsylvania Farm Show with our friends from WEU Radio. I'm going to start immediately to my left with Mike Faust, the operation manager. We've known one another for a number of years. Feedback is his hallmark. Mike, tell us a little bit about why you're here today.
Oh my golly, we are here all day long, Mark. We started at 6 a.m. in the mornings with Mike, and then 9 to noon we did my show that you just mentioned, Feedback, and right now we have the PA Sports Midday on, and then it's Matt and Dan from 2 to 5 p.m., and then we're going to go all the way till 9 p.m. tonight. It's all day here at the Farm Show. We're having a blast. You know, this isn't my first year here. I was here for the 100th, which was back in 2017. I love being at the Farm Show. This is up my alley. You know that we've done how many live broadcasts together over the years. If it has anything to do with food, I'm in. And this is the best place. Milkshakes, chocolate-covered bacon. I mean, anything. Cheese curds. You name it, it's here at the Farm Show. So we're just having a great time right now.
And I appreciate you sharing that enthusiasm. My daughter, even as we stand here and speak, is on her way with a sheep that's going to be showing. Now, what's traditional is a lot of kids will sleep in the hay bales. What's different about Mike, guys, is he actually sleeps next to the milkshake machine. Okay, so that makes him a little bit of an anomaly. Todd, you're the general manager, WEU Radio. Your background in radio, your experience, where did you come from in life, my friend?
Well, I'm actually from Western Pennsylvania, roughly 30 years of broadcast experience. And we're not just representing WEEU here, but 7 of our radio stations across Pennsylvania. So it only makes sense to be at the Pennsylvania Farm Show, where folks from across Pennsylvania are here for the agriculture business. So we wanted to represent all the radio stations that Twilight Broadcasting owns and the coverage of those listeners that come to the Farm Show.
Where does Twilight cover? What's this footprint all about? A substantive part of Pennsylvania?
Well, I think our owner can tell you all of the counties that we cover. He keeps a pretty good track of it, but we have stations in Western Pennsylvania. We have just acquired one in Central Pennsylvania, and of course, WEEU and her sister station WBYN in Eastern Pennsylvania. So we're working on blanketing the entire state. I think we cover about 40 of the 67 counties to some degree at this point.
The nexus between Bob and myself, legislative issues. A lot of the conversation that goes on, particularly in Feedback, discusses legislation. Property tax elimination, top shelf on my legislative agenda. But Bob, when did you decide that you were going to get involved with WEU? How did that all happen? Let's unravel that story in a concise way.
How much time do you have?
You have 30 seconds.
Basically, it seemed like a good investment because the station's been around for so long. We couldn't just let it go and fold away into nothing. I bought WKQW in Oil City about a year and a half ago, and Todd came along with a crew up there, and we covered a good portion of the northwestern part of the state. EU came along. It just seemed like the right opportunity, both morally and business-wise, to do it. We put a bid in on the license. I didn't expect to get it, and I got a call, 2 days later? They said, hey, you got EU, it's yours if you want it. I inherited all of the team, including Mike Faust and everybody. Got a great team with EU. We ended up buying WBYN in Lehighton and Carbon County. So that's a sister station of EU for live broadcasts. We're covering, 14 or 15 counties, the eastern part of the state alone, every day, daily.
We think we have a crown jewel here in Berks County. Honestly, when you came in, how much did you know about Berks County, the community, WEU?
I know about Berks County. My wife is from the western part of Berks County, eastern half of Lebanon. So I know the geography pretty well. I know what it's all about. I didn't realize the community involvement and the love of that the station has. We've got so many loyal listeners that have listened to the station, whether it's for a couple of months or for their entire lives, that would not have anything to do without the station around.
I'm going to have to say that collectively as a community, we held our breath a little bit. The uncertainty, what we were going to have at WE, all became a question out in the community. Was it going to go belly up? And so I want to say thank you personally to you and the team, and the very wise decision for keeping Mike Faust on. You inherited him, okay, right?
Thank you.
Like he was willed to you.
Yeah. Well, you want to call it a will or inherited? Yeah, I was forced into it basically. So, no, I can't thank our listeners enough at EU and Reading, and Berks and Schuylkill County. It's like a family. That's another way to describe it. Everybody's good supporters of us. I want to do local and regional programming that you can go and listen to any of the syndicated programming. Why not pay attention to what's going on right here and then worry about the regional and national stuff later?
Todd, did the intimacy of the listenership with the staff at EU get your attention at all as you came in? And you listen to feedback, and Mike knows where these people live, how many cats and dogs they have, what's left on their mortgage. I mean, there was a real relationship that existed there. Did that strike you as special when you came into this situation?
Absolutely. It's a dynamic that in my broadcasting career I had never seen. And like Bob said, we acquired the station. We didn't want to see it go away and go dark, and we looked at it primarily as a business decision. But once we got it and we started to realize that there's loyal listeners and people that love that radio station, and we appreciated the fact that everyone congratulated us for keeping it on the air, but we see what a gem it really is. And that was, solidified our decision that was the right choice to do.
From an outsider's perspective, Mike, it looks like it fit like a glove, all right? You're on in the morning, you're doing your same thing, you got the same kind of callers coming. We've done live remote broadcasts, for example, at the Berks Military History Museum. My sense is y'all didn't miss a beat. Mike, from your vantage point?
Absolutely. In fact, what we're doing right now at WEEU and WBYN through Twilight Broadcasting, we're live and local from 6 a.m. until 7 p.m. You show me other radio stations that are doing that anymore. It's not very common. So not only did they come to save the day, Bob and Todd, but they expanded it now. And this extended family, we're growing. We have representation, 25 counties out of 67. The whole Twilight Broadcasting.
Yeah, we reach parts of up to 40 counties, but we're in 25 counties, the majority or all of them. And it's not often that you see a 20,000 watt AM station that's doing local programming the entire day. And we've actually caught the attention of people in Boston, New York, WABC in New York, the Los Angeles people, when EU looked like it was going bankrupt or going to shut down operations. It drew the attention of these people and said, wow, these guys are doing something right, because they've actually listened into us now. And it's kind of neat because we're doing what they do in the big cities and the major metropolitan markets on a medium-sized market. And we're doing well with it. And that's what I want to keep.
When I came into the State House of Representatives, they offered me a state car, which I refused, and I'm still driving a 2000 Buick where the radio doesn't work. It drives my kids crazy when they're in the car with me. But there's other dimensions in terms of listenership besides that, brick and mortar, the hard radio. The only way I'm going to get WU is if I'm parked next to the transmitter tower. All right, but for others, what's the future of radio and this technology? It's been around a long time, and often a technology gets pushed aside, or a medium of communication is yesteryear. I see a bright future in radio. Anybody want to jump in on that?
I can tell you that radio is a medium that has to always continue to remember that they have to age along with their listeners. It's a medium that's been around for 100 years. And so you want to keep young listeners continuing to tune into radio and not going to their smartphone for their news and information and entertainment. So we're always mindful of the fact that we need to continue to recruit younger audiences while still servicing those who have been faithful to us for years.
Can I add something to that too? You know, the world's getting smaller, Mark. People are listening on their smartphones and they're listening online. You know, Jack Holcomb, host of Jack's Backyard, he's been at WEEU for over 63 years, and his show is Saturday mornings from 8 to 10 a.m., and you can listen online, 830weeu.com.
There's another commercial.
Yes. The guy calls in from a canoe in the Everglades. So it's tremendous, the response that we have, because other people, like Bob had said, are noticing what we're doing here in Reading, Pennsylvania, here in the state. And they're saying, this is pretty cool. What other radio station has that kind of interaction? You know, we give people a voice on the voice, WEEU.
As we close this out, I get a sense there's not a whole lot of people lining up to do what you did, Bob, and investing in radio. Share a little bit about that experience where I'm going to pull the trigger on this thing. I'm going to jump in. There's risk involved. So your heart on this.
This started out as a whim, and to be totally honest with you, I was watching a rerun of WKRP in Cincinnati about 2 years ago, and my real business, we're doing pretty well. So my accountant said, yeah, why don't you find a new investment? So I thought, okay, we'll buy an AM radio station. Well, that led me to WKQW in Oil City, where I met Todd, and then making a deal for KQW. And I liked it. It was good. I've got a good team working for me in Oil City, and we've been profitable since day one. But that's because he's taking care of things, and we've got good clients, we've got good listeners. That's filtered its way down to WEEU just on a larger scale. As far as AM radio, people, yes, don't listen to it on the radio, but we've got oodles of people that listen to us on the live stream every day.
All right, the important and final closing question, it's just a word, a line. All right, we're leaving here in a moment. We're going to finish the interview. Where are we going in the food court? Are we getting cotton candy? Are we getting milkshake? Where are we going, Mike?
Chocolate, milkshake all day long, Mark.
Milkshakes.
Chicken meatballs from Bell and Evans. Oh,
There's a contrarian, chicken meatballs. I'm headed over to the maple candy table over there because I've got 5 daughters and there's a little bit of chocolate there, and the most discussed subject in our house is chocolate. So, gentlemen, we're going to head in separate directions. God bless you. Thank you very much for spending time with us today.
Thank you very much.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you for joining me with Legislative Report. If you have any questions on a state government matter, you'd like to contact our office, that contact information will follow.